Hey guys, what's going on? I'm going to do a review of something that you guys have probably seen come up a fair bit on YouTube and on Facebook ads recently, and that's stock navigators. So I'd vaguely heard of these guys, so I looked into them a little bit, and I'm in the process of writing a review. And I haven't had a chance to actually try out their service yet, but there's quite a lot of stuff that I want to kind of go over before I join. That's if I join. It's a big if, and I'll explain a little bit why that might be a big if in the next few minutes. So for you guys that haven't seen these guys yet, they are basically popping up on YouTube all over the place. That's how I got kind of switched on to them. It's the first thing you find is that it's a son and a dad team, and it's the son that does the YouTube ads. So this guy on the left here. So the ads are particularly irritating. It seems that there'll be some sort of like phone ringing, and then this guy pops up and goes, "Hey, glad I caught you." It's just really cheesy advertising. So the story goes like this. Tom Luong, this guy on the right, the dad, he came across from Vietnam, basically fleeing from Vietnam, arrived in the US without any money, basically had no money, couldn't speak the language, and then made himself into a multimillionaire with a few bumps along the way. So the story that is told is that Tom lost $1 million of savings during the dot-com crash, and apparently after arriving in the US he was able to work at a pretty high-flying job in Silicon Valley, so like some sort of design engineer. So not quite sure how that worked, but good on him though. I mean, going from not being able to speak the language and penniless to working in Silicon Valley within a few years is a pretty good achievement. So obviously the guy is really smart and really hard working. So if this story is to be believed, which I have no reason to believe it's not, it seems pretty realistic to me. So apparently Tom saved up all his money and he gave it to an investment advisor during the dot-com bubble, and he lost it all, like $1 million worth during that crash. And so he turned to trading to try and take control of his finances and build back some of his wealth. So he was a systems engineering job in San Francisco. How he went from penniless and not being able to speak English to a job like that is pretty impressive. So I was kind of impressed with that. And then apparently he spent the next 20 years trading, developing a system, becoming profitable, and then starting stock navigators with his son in order to teach other people how to trade. So let's get into it a little bit. So Stock Navigator seems to be primarily an education website. Can't see anywhere where it talks about alerts. It's all about these courses that they have. So they have, this is their website. They have basically 3 courses. Here they are. Money Zone Method, Expert Trader, and Options Accelerator. You can go and check this out. I'll leave a link in the description so you guys can go and check out all the stuff that I'm kind of showing you. So the first thing I noticed about their ads, and I can see this from both a vendor point of view and a customer point of view, is their ads are really aimed at new traders, people that maybe haven't even started trading yet. So I watched their webinar, which is a free training for 45 minutes. And honestly, like, although Tim, the son, comes across really well, talking about his dad and his story, and the vast majority of the webinar is talking about money and how we're losing money because of inflation, and this is why you need to learn to trade, and wouldn't it be great to live anywhere and do anything, and all this type of stuff. And it really gave me the impression that they're trying to appeal to brand new traders, people that maybe haven't even started. The webinar comes across as pretty cheesy overall. Like it's clear they've hired some sales team that said, okay, you need to do a webinar, give them the 5 secrets on this. And the secrets are all fluff. I mean, it's like, look for a trend is number 1. Number 2 is something like, cut your losses fast, So it's really a fluff webinar. I enjoyed hearing the story about how the dad came over from Vietnam and how the son is now making money following what his dad learned and all this stuff. But the webinar was typical fluff. So I wasn't super impressed. When I checked out the Stock Navigator's website, they have over 20 members on the team now. So I thought that's a decent sized company for a family-owned business. Not sure how long they've been around. I have a feeling they popped up during the 2020 COVID. Let's have a look and see if they let us know. So apparently Timothy went to UCLA, so economics at UCLA. Probably not very useful for trading though. So I'm just trying to see where they started when they started stock navigators. They don't make it clear. So they were definitely in existence in 2020. Anyway, it's not that important when they started. I'm just kind of looking through their story again here. So basically they have these 3 courses, and the Money Zone Method, the Expert Trader, and the Options Accelerator. So the next step I do is like, okay, let's see what other people are saying. I think we all do that, right? We all decide, okay, let's go and look and see. So here's the Trustpilot page, and they have an excellent rating, 153 reviews. So they must be teaching something good, right? You'd think. So let's take a quick look at some of the reviews. A brief background, no college degree. I worked a labor job during the pandemic. I was laid off. So seems like a fairly legit review. They're very supportive, both mentors and students. The comments are excellent. Okay, so they have a lot of really, really good reviews. Awesome. That's great. So one thing I do though when I go to these sites is I click on the poor and the bad to see what people are saying, and then filter the reviews that way. And sure, they're a small percentage in this case, very small, so most of the time they were getting excellent. Anyway, I'll show you the poor and the bad reviews in a minute. I wanted to cover a little bit more first. So yeah, like I said, the free webinar I attended was really simple technical analysis. They basically showed, you should buy higher highs and higher lows. The trend is your friend type of thing. And then they mentioned one Fibonacci key level as being useful in their particular strategy. So like I said, the webinar was pretty unremarkable to me. I think everything smells of a high budget ad team that's come in, and they're blasting ads on Facebook and YouTube and basically sending them to this webinar funnel, and then it kind of goes off the rails from the usual way there, and I'll show you what I mean in a sec. So let's get down. Anyway, I watched the webinar, and occasionally they'll put up a spreadsheet. You can't really read it here. It's a spreadsheet of Tom's trades over the last month, and they circle 300 grand or something. It means very little without fully verified brokerage statements. It's not gonna mean you could just make that up. So here's where things get kind of murky. So basically you have these guys advertising like mad, and they have this website. They have 3 courses. What you can't find anywhere on the page is how much does any of this stuff cost, and there's a good reason for that. If you go back to here, you have to apply to join, so you can't just pay for it or join. There's no prices, you have to apply. So like up here, and you get to schedule a strategy with a session enrollment team. Basically that is scheduling a strategy with a team that are going to sell you on the course, right? They'll wrap it nicely and say, hey, we want to make sure you're a good fit. How much money do you have? Like, let's give you a bit of value here. But really what's happening here, in my opinion, is you're getting a hard close by probably a very qualified salesperson. And the reason they need that, and they don't just rely on a price where you click the button buy, is that they're charging a huge amount for this. The very minimum it looks like you have to be able to spend is $5,400 as a one-time fee. So that is basically why you're getting funneled to request a strategy session while we'll vet your application, So that really isn't a good sign in my mind. I'm not saying these guys are scams or anything. I'm sure they're legit. It's just the way they're going about this with this one-time large fee feels pretty bad. So like I'm saying here, it's a lot for essentially what seems to be a basic trading education. If you go through what they actually teach, it's very wishy-washy. Like, you can't really pin them down on anything. So let's take a look at their courses again really quick. Products, education. So would you buy something basically okay, so this is a bit different actually. So it looks like there is a low-cost product here for $97. What's included in the Money Method online video course. We walk you through everything you need to know how to trade successfully, from how to set up a brokerage account. Alright, so this changes it a little bit. So if you don't click on there, you get funneled into the $5,000 course. This one seems to be a lot cheaper though, so that's definitely something worth checking out. One-time fee, $97. Let's see what they have to say. Let's go back. I'm trying to get out of here. So it looks like this one is only $97. That's interesting. So it must be the expert trader that costs like $5,000. Let me have a look. Created by. So here's what you get for the $97: online lessons, fully comprehensive trading setups. This will just be like higher highs, higher lows, and breakouts and things. And I think that's what's kind of made me a little bit irritated here. Let's have a look at this guy. Yeah, so this is the one that's 5,400. So I went to the take me to the free lesson thing. It was this webinar that I watched. So anyway, this is where you get sold the $5,400 course. And for me, it's almost impossible to justify that price for what you'd likely get, right? So they're not offering alerts, they're offering self-paced learning materials, comprehensive trading techniques for day and swing. I'm all for paying for things, but $5,000 for a new trader seems ridiculous. And I suspect many people would be left kind of a little irritated at what you get for that. So at the moment, I'm not really super excited about stock navigators. I'm not saying it's a scam. It is overpriced from what I can see. And they can say, oh, well, our stuff really works. It's like, yeah, but a lot of people's stuff really works. It's down to the particular trader usually to make it work for them, usually. The one-time fee of $5,400 is pretty bad. It's not, to me, that's not competitive at all. It really isn't. And that's why they have such a smooth sales team, right? A lot of that money is going towards ads, paying these marketers to really get them clients, so lead generation basically. So to me, it's a little unfair to pass that cost on to the customer. But that's what happens. So let me just point out in this article, I've put a link to a couple other things that are much cheaper and in my opinion are a lot better. So Bullseye Trades by Raging Bull is one. It's only $97 for a year. And it will give you one really good trade a week. So I wrote an article on that. PowerX Optimizer for Rockwell from Rockwell. If you're looking to swing trade, I've been a member of that for a while. It's only $19.97, and it is fantastic. So another couple that come to mind are Stephen Brooks GPS Trader, and a couple of my friends that run services that only cost $14.97 for life, and are most likely going to make you more money than stock navigators is, in my opinion. So if we go back to the Trustpilot reviews, this is also reflected, this idea of it being too much is reflected in their negative reviews. So biggest regret of my life. So yeah, they have a big rebuttal here, and you guys can go and check these out. But one thing I did notice is all the hidden fees. So like I said, the one thing that really irks me here is that you have to apply to join one of their extortionate courses, which is really just code for being upsold and being like aggressively sold to in a way that makes you feel like you're kind of in charge and that you're applying, and so this is what also bothers me though, is I heard there was a Discord and apparently you have to pay for it. So you pay this $5,400 and then they keep selling you on more and more things. So there's a Discord you can join, which sounds awesome, but it costs like $50 a month or something. Then something else is $500 a month, and then like all these upsells. Apparently, it came to, for this guy, $15,000. And this is why they don't have any prices, because they don't want to shell shock or price shock you. So they have all these different ways to like get you into their funnel. So that's reflected in most of these bad reviews are hidden fees, and the amount starts to add up pretty quickly. There's not a whole lot of reviews, but they are basically all saying the same thing, which is definitely a red flag, that you're not really going to be able to just spend the $5,000. You'll probably have to spend a lot more. And so really that's the bottom line here, is does this guy Tom, who doesn't show any brokerage reports as far as I can see, offers no real hard proof that he's somehow cracked the day trading or swing trading code. Sure, he seems like a great guy, his story seems great, but does he really have a secret sauce that's worth $5,000 to $15,000? And I really don't think that's the case. I feel like it's a legit education program, but you're not going to get $5,000 or $10,000 worth out of it. Now, I could be wrong. I've done some courses in the past, and a lot of people have told me that they're scams, and I've really made my money back, times 1,000 on those courses. So I might well be wrong with this, and maybe there's some guys out there watching this and say, hey, I spent $5,000, but now I'm making 100,000 a year. It was the best $5,000 I ever spent. So let me know in the comments if you've tried stock navigators and if you're one of the people who've made money after doing it. Alright guys, catch you soon.